The first time Rachel noticed the janitor, he was kneeling on the cold hallway floor, long after everyone else had gone home, carefully picking up tiny scraps of paper left behind by students who would never know his name. He looked exhausted, his shoulders heavy with the weight of a life no one seemed to see. Yet when a little girl accidentally dropped her notebook while rushing out of an evening tutoring session, he smiled and chased after her to return it, as if it were the most important task in the world. Have you ever looked at someone and assumed you understood their story? What if the person everyone overlooked was carrying a burden greater than anyone could imagine? And if you discovered the truth, would you have the courage to do something about it? Rachel Harper was the CEO of one of the largest educational technology companies in Chicago. Her company supplied software and devices to schools across the country, and she was known for making tough decisions without letting emotions cloud her judgment. Numbers mattered, results mattered, efficiency mattered. At least that was what she had always believed. That evening, Rachel was visiting a public middle school that had recently partnered with her company. She stayed later than expected after a meeting with administrators. As she walked through the nearly empty building, she noticed the janitor working alone. His name tag read Michael Carter. Something about him caught her attention. While most employees rushed through the final minutes of their shifts, Michael worked with unusual care. He straightened crooked student artwork hanging on the walls. He repaired a loose chair leg with tools from his cart. He even paused to erase negative words someone had scribbled on a locker. Rachel watched from a distance. The next week she visited again and saw him doing the same thing. Then again, curiosity slowly replaced indifference. One evening, after finishing another meeting, Rachel saw Michael leave the school, carrying an old backpack. Instead of heading toward a car, he walked several blocks through the fading light. Without fully understanding why, Rachel followed. The city changed as they moved farther from the business district. The clean office buildings gave way to aging apartment complexes and neglected streets. Michael eventually entered a small grocery store. Rachel waited outside. A few minutes later, he emerged carrying only 2 bags. She expected him to go home. Instead, he walked to a nearby church. Through the window, Rachel watched something she never expected. Michael began helping volunteers prepare meals for homeless families. He spent nearly 2 hours serving food, cleaning tables, and comforting people who clearly knew him well. He looked tired. He looked poor. Yet somehow he was giving away what little time he had. Rachel felt something unfamiliar tugging at her heart. When Michael finally left, she followed again. This time he arrived at a small apartment building. The paint was peeling. Several windows were cracked. Nothing about it suggested comfort. Rachel watched him climb the stairs carrying the groceries. She should have left. Instead, she stayed. An hour later, she saw movement through a partially uncovered window. Inside, Michael sat beside a young boy in a wheelchair. The boy couldn't have been older than 10. Michael carefully fed him dinner before helping him with homework. Then he lifted him into bed. The tenderness on his face was impossible to miss. Rachel sat frozen in her car. The next morning, she quietly asked the school principal about Michael. What she learned shattered her assumptions. Michael was a widower. His wife Sarah had died from cancer 3 years earlier. Shortly before her death, their son Noah had suffered a spinal injury in a car accident that left him permanently disabled. Medical bills had consumed nearly everything they owned. Michael worked 2 jobs. He cleaned the school during the day and stocked shelves at a grocery store several nights each week. Despite everything, he never complained. Rachel couldn't stop thinking about him. For days she replayed the image of that small apartment and the devotion she had seen in his eyes. Then another discovery changed everything. While reviewing school performance reports, Rachel noticed something unusual. Attendance among struggling students had improved significantly during the past year. After asking questions, she uncovered an unexpected reason. Many students credited Michael. When children felt lonely, he listened. When families needed food, he quietly connected them with resources. When students considered dropping out, he encouraged them to stay. Several teachers admitted that Michael had personally purchased school supplies for children, using money he could barely afford to spend. The man earning one of the smallest salaries in the building was changing more lives than executives earning six-figure incomes. Rachel felt ashamed. For years, she had measured human worth through productivity charts and financial reports. Yet Michael's impact could never be captured on a spreadsheet. A few weeks later, Rachel made an unannounced visit to the apartment building. This time she knocked. When Michael opened the door, surprise filled his face. Rachel saw the worn furniture, the aging medical equipment, the stack of unpaid bills partially hidden on a shelf, and Noah, smiling brightly despite circumstances that would have broken many adults. Rachel spent hours listening. For the first time in years, she simply listened. Michael spoke about losing Sarah, about the nights he cried after Noah fell asleep, because he didn't know how he would pay the next month's rent, about the fear of leaving Noah alone while working extra shifts, about feeling invisible, not angry, just invisible. Rachel drove home with tears running down her cheeks. That night she couldn't sleep. The next morning she began making calls. Over the following months, changes started quietly. Michael received a new position within Rachel's company focused on student outreach and community support. The role came with health care, flexible hours, and a salary that transformed his family's future. Rachel's company funded accessibility renovations for Noah. Specialists provided therapy previously out of reach. The apartment was replaced with a comfortable home close to Noah's school and medical care. But perhaps the most important change wasn't financial. Rachel launched a national initiative honoring school support staff. Across America, janitors, cafeteria workers, bus drivers, and aides whose contributions often went unnoticed. She named the program after Sarah's favorite phrase, "Every person matters." Within 2 years, thousands of workers received recognition, scholarships, and support. One ordinary janitor had inspired a movement. Years later, Rachel stood at a graduation ceremony. Noah, now a young man, crossed the stage to receive his diploma. The crowd erupted in applause. Michael sat nearby wiping tears from his eyes. Rachel looked around at the families celebrating and remembered the night she had followed a tired janitor after work. She had expected to uncover a secret she had. But it wasn't the secret she imagined. The real secret was that some of the strongest people carry their pain so quietly that the world never notices. The real secret was that kindness often lives in places society rarely looks. And the real secret was that one act of seeing another human being can change countless lives. Before the story ends, tell us in the comments, have you ever met someone whose quiet kindness changed the way you see the world? As Michael watched Noah smile beneath the bright graduation lights, he thought about Sarah, about every impossible day he had survived, and about the stranger who chose to look beyond a uniform and see a human soul. In that moment, he realized that sometimes miracles don't arrive with fanfare. Sometimes they arrive when one person finally decides that another person is worth noticing. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe, so more people can be reminded that compassion, kindness, and second chances still have the power to change the world.